the record, and we're gonna go ahead and jump right into the show. Yes. Yeah, you know what? I probably do need to adjust the sound level on that because, sorry about that. I guess I have to readjust that. There's actually been a lot going on for me. I'm probably gonna do some of the show-related news items. So I've been trying to really. I want to do some topics today. So turn it up. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. Okay, but so. I've been doing a lot of show-related stuff, getting more guests, and just a variety of things. So I wanted to do some topics, so I had to really rush at the last minute to get. Oh my gosh, you're killing me there, W3B. And one of the things I've been working on is, we do have a local newspaper here, and which is, of course, most little cities and towns do, and it's called the Portland News. Dun, 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 dun. Portland News. And I was thinking, I'm going to put put a little news article on my little, internet show thing. And I finally got around to it. I went to the office. I knew where it was, because I didn't have no email address or anything. So, and now I think the editor that normally does the stuff wasn't there, but they had like two assistants, and one of them actually kind of liked the idea a lot because, and then she gave me a lot of, stuff that I can do here locally, perhaps tech-related news and stuff. So, and she even mentioned perhaps even the local government might be interested, but I don't know, that's getting way too much into it yet. So I went ahead and submitted stuff to hopefully kind of be featured, and it might actually give me more, more stuff to do here locally, and which I've actually kind of started on already. They actually got some tech-related departments at the high school I might be interested in showing off some of their work, but I haven't got a reply from them by email, so I don't know if that's going to work out or not. But you never know. You never know. And then, I don't know. The editor never emailed me back, but it's only been a day or two. So, in fact, they might actually put it in the paper, not even email you back, and let you know if they're going to put it in the local news or not. But we shall see. Usually it comes out every Thursday, so I'll usually I read it anyway, just for local news and things like that. And another thing I've been working on. It's kind of like I want to do like an ID badge just for the show. So if I do go out to some of these places and, for actually news to like remotely, like movie clips to show during the show for, I can't always do remote broadcasts. It's kind of like a name tag. It's kind of like a press. I'm trying to think of the key word here. Like a press badge, kind of. Because if I just show up and say, hey, I got an internet show, and they're like, oh, sure, yeah, I'm sure you got a Facebook page. If I show them this little ID card, I have it pre-printed and everything, and it kind of, more of a chance that, it'll be more believable. So actually, there's a place on the internet, I think it was called Nameafire, and they kind of make badges for, could be corporations, little businesses, and things like that. So, I've actually went to them and made one up, and let me see if I can put it in here. And let me see if I can get this to work. Hold on. And I forgot to put the built-in audio. Okay, there we go. And that's kind of what it's going to look like when I get it sent to me. I just had it approved today. I had to kept on submitting it, and I don't know. I think it's kind of cool in a way. If not, I could, use it for Halloween or something. I don't know. So, and that's my Chatterbox press badge, I guess. I don't know. Who knows what? I don't know. It's kind of cool. Now it is. Well, I don't know if I'd be sending it to anybody because initially, if you go to a lot of these little name badge places, usually they want you to do it in bulk, and a minimum of 100 or whatever. Then obviously it's a lot of money. And there's some sites that'll do it like in small orders, like at 1 or 2 or whatever. But initially they do charge a $35 setup fee. That's to cover. Somebody's got to go in there and do the editing and move the pictures, and then they got to send it to you. And then if you got to submit changes, that all takes up man hours. So that's what the the setup fee is. But after that, you can, they're about $10 a piece. They're still kind of expensive, but not too cost prohibitive. So if, let's say, I ordered 2 just in case, and if I lose one, but even then, if it gets lost, stolen, or destroyed or whatever, I could just since the setup's already done, I could just go ahead and send off another order and get another one. But no, actually, what it is, it's it's about the size of a one of those bigger ID cards, and it's all plastic, and somehow they put it's not laminated, it's all kind of printed on the plastic itself, so it's not even a lamination, so you don't have to worry about the lamination coming out and all that. So I don't know, I think it'd be kind of cool that way if I'm going to do some stuff locally. I still want to go. There's a thing in I think it's the Social Networking Club, and then they all wear name tags. And if I go to that eventually, I'm waiting for the next meeting to start, which it hasn't for like a couple of months now. And then I could just wear that, and it ties in with the show thing, internet show and all that. So I don't know. I figure it's kind of cool. So if not, it's just fun to show around or whatever. But that's another thing that I was working on. Facebook fan club, yeah. Hey, I could make it like the Chatterbox backstage pass thing, and then you could come in. If you win the little backstage pass, then you can come right here and watch me do the show. No, just kidding. Nobody probably show up for that anyway. So, and let me see. I think that was all on the local news or show-related news items. And I do have some topics. I didn't know if I was going to be ready in time on some of this, but I think I've got enough to last for a little while anyway. I didn't know. Now, this is kind of a mishmash of different topics. Well, they're still related, but I didn't know a correct way to name all these topics. I just called them common computer misconceptions. I can't even say misconceptions. Oh my gosh. And people have certain misconceptions about, or myths, or however you want to say it. Some of them are Mac related, some are all related together, whether it be PC, Mac, or Linux, or whatever. And some of them I've talked to about before, and I might mention again, but if I do, I probably won't go too much into it because I've talked about it before. And this is one of them. Why doesn't Apple does not release Mac OS X for PCs like Windows does? And now I know before Apple kind of did this before, and I think this might have been pre-90s, and then I think when Steve Jobs come back, I think he kind of cut that out. And I wish I could remember more of that, but not exactly. And you can answer that, can you? Okay. Yeah, of course, I go a lot by your thoughts on the topic as well. So, that's funny, you're talking about timeshares. I'm like, boy, that timeshare sounds kind of nice right about now. Okay. That was Bruce that put it in there. And now, of course, my own thoughts is, if Apple kind of went the Microsoft route and made it available for all the PCs, for one, that'd be, of course, PC. They're kind of they kind of concentrated on a small niche type of, computer systems and, mobile devices and things like that. And of course, if they went to all computers, then they have to worry about supporting all these third-party hardware vendors. And of course, even though it's kind of like a closed system where their software is tied around their specific hardware groups, that's what makes it work for Apple, because, a lot less chance for buggy drivers and things like that. And often you have putting different hardware in the same computer can, often have unexpected results. And I don't think we're ever really going to see Apple do that. I'm not saying they won't. And I think people kind of wish that as well. And let me see in the chat room what you guys are saying about that, because often you guys bring in very interesting things on that. Okay, exactly. There, 3B Guru, he said Mac OS X works because it only has to support a limited amount of hardware. And of course, there's pros and cons to that as well. So, and I really wouldn't want Apple support anyone else's hardware. Yeah. I think it'd be a nightmare for them, because then they have to, support all that. I don't know. That'd be a nightmare. I could just imagine trying to support all that hardware. And they're concentrating on a small, number of users. Of course, now it's getting bigger. Of course, with their mobile devices and other things. Of course, that's really a different topic, because I just don't see you upgrading an iPhone, perhaps. Oh yeah, Apple does kind of hoard the cash. Actually, probably they got enough cash right now to buy. They could buy out Dell and just say, here, we'll give you some money for it, and just buy some of these other. Is it 55 billion right now? Oh wow. And that that was one of my topics I brought up, and I wouldn't exactly say that's common computer misconceptions, but I just kind of threw that in there. And another one that I see a lot is Mac versus PC, which is I'm trying to word this correctly so everybody understands it. Initially, when I read this, was actually often a different forum that said something why Mac users say they have better hardware compared to PCs. I think that was initially the one that brought me up on that. And actually, one of my answers to that internet forum was that obviously it was the price point, because a lot of people try to compare usually the sub $1,000 computers to a Mac, and really to compare that, you have to compare more of a $1,000 or over PC computer to the same price point as a Mac. And of course, you got to think with I think the average price right now, I think I looked it up, for a desktop PC right now is around $675, somewhere around that price range, 5 to 7. Geez, I just lost my train of thought here. Boy, I'm talking so much, I gotta get something lubricate my throat right there. But so yeah, price point is a big thing. You really gotta compare price to price. And I see a lot of people, in fact, I responded to one YouTube video that said he could build a PC computer cheaper than he could, to a Mac Pro, and it said it has better specs and things like that. And I said, well, a $400 PC does not compare to, a Mac Pro, because Mac Pros are targeted toward, their workstations, and it is not a consumer PC. So you got to really, price point. And let me see what chat's got to say on that. Yeah, I agree with that, Frugal Tech. He said Apple has 90% of the 1,000 and above computer market. Now, I think for laptops, they're I know definitely they're ahead. The MacBook Pro. So, and I think I'm not sure what the average laptop might actually be the same price. $5 to $7 now. And we're talking about all this neat computer stuff, so yeah, I've heard that as well. I remember reading something, a Mac Air competitor, and I wish I could remember more about that too. And my mind's just a blank on that. Yeah, I hear, of course, PC versus Mac, that, you constantly hear, PCs can get better specs, and in some cases it is true. But usually right now, it's not always about specs, because right now in hardware, most computer hardware right now is, it's more than enough. In most cases, it's usually the software that always lags behind, because obviously it's the computer manufacturers that come out with it first, and then obviously the software is going to lag behind. And of course, like multi-core processing, it's finally slowly starting to catch up with some of these programs. 64-bit, I mean, that's still not implemented totally yet, and things like that. Well, I haven't really talked. I mean, I have a little, but not kind of like I did today on this topic. That's kind of why I wanted to cover it. I did topics on the Apple tax, but yeah, I'm agreeing. Now, I'm not saying, I know some people can't afford Apple, and I'm not going to diss them for it in any way, shape, or form. Actually, I've been big into Linux for a very long time, and I actually prefer Linux on a PC machine. And I'm not trying to make it, if people can't afford it or anything like that. I'm just saying generally, not, budget wise. Try to do it what you can afford, and And okay, this next topic I actually talked about before, and it kind of has to do with viruses in the market share. And I wasn't initially gonna try to do this too long, because I've talked about it before. Now I might have changed some of my thoughts on that, because which has something due to the fact that, since I'll give you an example, like Mac and Linux, they don't. I think Macs right now have roughly 10% of the market share, or a little bit less, and I think Linux right now is around 2%. So, and then obviously Microsoft has the biggest, and PC computers, and supposedly they're saying that since Mac and Linux don't have the market share, that hackers don't target them. And I've been doing actually a lot of research on that, and what I've found, it's not necessarily true, but I might have changed some of my thoughts on that, because I do think, if Mac, starts getting very bigger, I don't know if they'll ever surpass Microsoft. I doubt that, but I think people will target them. Not saying it's going to necessarily be successful, but it could be a threat. But some of the research I found on that was that I don't necessarily think market share has always to do with it, because what I found, and I'm trying to think to remember here. Of course, this is now with a Mac in specifically what I'm talking about in this case is that, of course, with Mac OS X 9 and below, this is before it went to a Unix-based operating system, which is, I believe, based on BSD. I think there was roughly 40 viruses, or perhaps 40 to 60 viruses on, Mac OS X 9, which wasn't based on Unix. And of course, then when it went to the Unix-based operating system, of course, I think it started out with Mac OS X 10. It went down to 0. And then now, of course, the market share is a lot more what it is right now. Around 10% more or less. I don't know the exact numbers. So if you went by the market share, how come we don't see more viruses less? And that was one of the things that I remember. And I've been seeing some other ones in it as well, and I can't remember all of it. I didn't want to go too much into it because I've talked about it before, but I am going to look into the chat room real quick and see what you guys have to say about that. If you have anything at all, but oh, okay, yeah. And okay, this other thing I have right here, which is on is locking down software hardware such a bad thing? Yeah, I didn't know how to explain that. To me, I'm mixed on that. It could be both good and a bad thing. I admit, there are some, of course, Mac is big with, their own closed systems. I admit some of the things with the Macs I don't like, perhaps like where you can't put your iTunes music supposedly, unless perhaps you jailbreak it in some way, put it on like other third-party devices, not something that's not an iPod or an iPhone. As far as I know, you still can't do that. And some of that, but, on the other side of the thing, I think it can be a good thing, because, you start throwing on third-party, I'm not saying third-party software, but, you're going to have problems on that type of ecosystem. And to give you an example, I'm going to talk about Android. And I'm not knocking Android at all, because I think Android's a good thing. And of course, it's open source, and just about anybody can develop for it. But Android right now is getting to where it's really fragmented, because right now, for all their devices, some are using different versions of the operating system. Some don't have certain features, while some do. So it tends to make the operating system very fragmented. And I could just imagine, if you're a developer, how hard it would be to develop your particular app on different platforms. It can be very hard. And actually right now, there is talk from Google that they're going to actually stop. They're not going to release, which is the new version, Honeycomb. I don't know if it's been officially released yet, but supposedly they're going to lock it down for a while, just because of this perhaps specific problem. Not necessarily fragmentation, but I think it's with their for like tablet devices. They're afraid, I guess, if they release the source code, they're going to try to take that and put it on phone systems. And it wasn't originally developed, that particular one, to go on mobile phones. So suppose they're going to wait a few more months before they release it, and things like that. So, I see a lot of open source people say that, it's not good to lock down. I'm not saying it is or isn't. It's just there's a lot of pros and cons of that. So Let's see, isn't Android Dev just Java? I don't know what's based on really. I think it's a type of embedded operating system, and I don't know. I'm not really a developer, unless perhaps there's somebody in there that has kind of messed with it or knows. I don't think it's based on Java itself. I think perhaps it might, that particular device might use Java in addition to the operating system itself. So, okay, SDK, okay. And okay, yeah, you're the one that asked the question in there. How you doing there, Nile TV? And we're just going over my list of topics for today, which is quite a bit in here. Common computer misconceptions with different systems and computers and viruses and things like that. So that's what we're going over. And okay, another thing. There's kind of a debate. This is not really. You know, people kind of debating on whether to leave turning off the is it better to turn the computer on or leave it off at the end of the day. And some people say, you know, well, it'd be better at the end of the day go ahead and shut it down. But I'm seeing, you know, nowadays it doesn't make much difference, I think. The only thing I could really see with turning it off and turning it on over a very long period of time is, of course, your components heating up and cooling down, and then you get the thermal expansion. And of course, over a very long period of time, then, you know, often that will mess with your solder joints. And so how about you guys? Do you leave it on or do you turn it off at the end of the day? And what do you think is better? Or does it matter? I don't know. Yeah, moisture obviously is not a good thing, or water. And 24/7. I used to always leave my computers on 24/7. And most of my Linux machine, but now some people do restart after so long, but how about a Windows machine? You know, because a lot of people say, you know, over a period of time, memory leaks, and well, not Windows per se, but obviously Linux, Unix based, supposedly they leave it up for months at a time. And I'm not sure about Windows. I'm not saying anything bad about it, perhaps, but the power supply went bad. Okay, it's bad to do it on older Windows. It was bad. Okay. Oh, really? Windows 98 over 24 hours. I don't know. Did you get like the blue screen of death or something? I don't know. Now, I did start using it when it first came out, Windows 95. And then I went up through all the Windows to about Vista, and then I stopped using it altogether. That's when Vista first came out. I used it for a while. Then I went pretty much Linux most of the time, but. And let me go ahead and stop the broadcast.